Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I thought I would try to slip in a video this evening. Sun's gone down, but it's getting dark pretty quick. But I thought there would be just enough light for me to do this. So far it looks all right. So I made a video a couple of days ago. Yes, and I know my wife's been doing these videos with me usually here on Saturday evenings, but not tonight. Everything's fine. She's just not feeling it. It's okay. But I made a video a couple of days ago. I think it was Thursday, maybe been Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. And at the time, I'm not aware of any single person online, social media, YouTube videos, or anything that was really even saying this. But I said that I thought that all of this deportation stuff, as much as I support it, I have been a staunch supporter of it. Before anyone says anything, I was the guy that Media Matters did the hit piece on. That I was the worst YouTuber out there, the worst, homestead YouTuber that wanted to get rid of all the illegals. But the way it was being spun, I thought that the way the deportation was happening, which I said way back before Trump ever was elected in anything, that as much as we want this, as much as it's necessary, it's going to cause a lot of problems, because they're already here, and there's a lot of them, and some of them have been here for a long time. It's not like it's just people that's just come across the border and we're just rounding them up and kicking them out. We've got people that's been here for years. And I said it was going to be a very painful process to get through. Well, guess what? What I said the other day, I said that the videos coming out showing ICE and other federal agencies and law enforcement rounding these people up, people that are at home with their families, at their jobs, at their schools. They look like just everyday Americans. They don't look like criminals. They don't look like, gangbangers and people that are, smugglers and all that kind of stuff. That it was going to start leading to, I believe, the next Antifa BLM type of riots. And guess what? That is exactly what's happening. Today in New York City and in LA, California, massive riots are happening due to all of the rounding up of the illegals. The ones in LA seem to be substantially worse, but there are pretty significant ones in New York City. And I think that it's very likely this stuff is going to start spreading, partly because, there's been a lot of criticism of the Trump administration up till just recently, that while they are trying to deport illegals, they hadn't really kicked it into gear yet. They hadn't really been doing anything significant. Yes, they've been going after high-level criminals, very notable criminals, gang leaders and stuff, but just illegals, the numbers weren't anywhere near as compared to, during the Obama administration and even through lots of the Biden administration. Well, they've announced that they're finally going to start doing that they've kicked in gear, and they've got it all together, and they're just rounding people up. They're going to Home Depots, places like that, and they're just rounding them up. And there's become a lot of pushback. And I think that this is an issue that the left and a lot of just moderates can get in on. The whole Black Lives Matter movement has seemed to kind of fall apart. Most people don't care about that anymore. Now it's, online, people just name call, sound racist here and there. And it's like, to a certain extent, it's just no one really cares. And then the Antifa stuff, whatever. But this is an issue that I think that they can hone in on. And I think it is happening. Today, Donald Trump, according to the governor of California, Governor Newsom, Donald Trump has taken control of the California National Guard. And apparently about 2,000 of them are going to be deployed on the streets. It seems to be quite significant. Okay, now, let's step back a minute and recognize that just in the last several days, we've had a lot of chaotic stuff, a lot of very, very likely purposely distracting events. And I'm speaking specifically of the Elon Musk and Donald Trump whole dramatic fiasco, which apparently is still going on. Who knows what's going on with that, how it's going to play out. I don't know. Whether it's intentional, which is what I believe, or not, it is very distracting away from other issues. And then it's interesting that happens, and then just immediately, like there's no break, there's nothing. It's just immediately, now this is the issue. Where you've got many people in various cities, the two biggest ones is New York and LA, that are rioting, and it's very, I mean, this is not just peaceful protesting. This looks like war zone kind of stuff, very serious kind of stuff. And I think it's just beginning. I think that this is one more of those things that we're leading into. I've been telling you folks for a while that we're kind of heading into a perfect storm. And it's not that I'm necessarily thinking that Donald Trump is the cause of it. I think it's going to happen on his watch. It happened kind of that way in the last watch. And I know a lot of you have thought all along that what are they going to drum up during this presidency? And I can't tell you whether or not it is the left against Donald Trump, or if he and his party are complacent in all this because they're all part of the same team. That's not what I'm here to argue. What I'm here to argue is that there are some serious things happening, and we need to be prepared for that. Now, at the same time that this is happening, and this is probably a coincidence, probably, that I don't believe in those, but it's probably a coincidence. At the very same time that this is happening, and that the president is taking over the National Guard, really, apparently from what I'm reading online in the news, against the will of Gavin Newsom, not that he really has a choice in that, but there's this kind of, and there could be some legal battles because of that. There are reports and video of a lot of military equipment being moved into Washington, D.C. Now, it's not a surprise. This isn't a secret. This is getting ready for this 250th anniversary celebration that the president, or not the 250th, but the president's celebration for the military that he's been talking about doing in Washington, D.C. Now, so this isn't some kind of like top secret stuff that's going on. There's our cat. Yeah, right there he is. It's what has been talked about, and on the surface, seeing these long trains filled with tanks and other military gear, it would make a legitimate excuse that it's because of this big parade that's going to happen. On the other hand, it seems like it's worked out as a really nice coincidence that this is going on at the time that major riots are happening. And these riots, from what I'm reading, it's not just folks that are opposing the deportation. It is also Antifa, and it is also pro-Palestinian protesters. I've said for as long as I have been aware of any kind of political stuff, back when I was a teenager, when I first started out doing right-wing activism and stuff, I said that the one thing that the left has over the right is that they come together on any issue, even if they hate each other. Even if this group and this group absolutely hate each other, if they can come together on a far left issue against the conservative right, they'll do it. And that's what's happening already. So we've got issues that are coming together on the left. So it's not just like areas where there would be people being deported, deported out of the country would be protesting. There's very likely also areas that are pro-Palestinian that's going to be involved in all of this protest. So anyways, and then we've got the whole Iranian thing going on. We've got the Russian thing going on. We've got the China thing going on. It's not been headlining in the news the last few days, but in the past, I'd say week or so, the buildup in China versus Taiwan, military stuff, information coming out of that region seems to be intensifying. Maybe it's nothing, but it does. That's what's coming out in even our own Pentagon. Just the other day, Pete Hegseth said that, we need to become ready immediately. That's my words, but that's what he was saying, that this is an imminent, immediate threat. Then you've got all this military equipment being sent to Washington, D.C. Is it just for the parade? Do they know something else? I'm speculating. I will totally admit, I'm not trying to spread rumors. I'm just speculating. It's interesting that a lot of this stuff is happening at the same time. The whole Trump, Elon Musk thing. There's, rumors now that the whole Trump, Elon Musk thing is because there's a divide in MAGA, and the technocrat billionaires want to get Trump out of the office and put J.D. Vance in. All this kind of stuff is happening. And now you've got all these tanks and all this military equipment being moved into Washington, D.C. Is it all just a coincidence, or is there something else going on? I can't tell you. I think it is interesting, though. I think it's worthy of us paying attention to what's going on a little bit closer. Because there absolutely is, rioting and stuff going on in certain parts of the country, and it's becoming very quickly violent. This isn't like the BLM stuff, where it did kind of start off for a while as peaceful and then it just kind of exploded. This is just like overnight. So you've got a rapid increase of protest and violence. You've got other issues that can very easily cause violence, whether it's domestic or foreign. And you've got all this military equipment being moved into Washington, D.C. Strange, maybe not, but I think that it's definitely something to be prepared for. And if nothing else, even if the Washington, D.C. stuff is just that parade stuff, these riots, I think, could very easily spread equally to the level of the BLM, Antifa, George Floyd stuff, and very likely bigger. And I think the reason is because what Donald Trump has done the last 6 months is way more than what he did his first time around. So the left is seeing him as a much, much, much bigger threat. He's taken away their food stamps, and he's taken away all their foreign aid, and he's, all this kind of stuff. They've got to stop him now. Like this has got to stop. And so I could see this spiraling out of control a lot bigger. So I would suggest that you kind of pay attention to it. I said the other day, you need to go get prepared. If you're not prepared already, you're in a world of hurt. But what I'm saying is you probably should top off on things. Probably should kind of revisit your plan, make sure things are okay. For those of you that live in areas that have a more likely chance that you can see this kind of activity, and you know who you are, you should, be a little bit more aggressively aware, okay? Your head's on a swivel, your situational awareness is at a high level, your overall alert level, kind of like how the military has their alert levels. Your overall alert level is, depending on the areas that you live, should be pretty high right now because of this kind of stuff that's going on. And you should know right off the bat, oh, I live in one of those areas because I see it every day. I see all this. I live in one of those areas. Not everyone does, but you should be becoming very proactive about staying alert and then just getting ready, because it's very, very possible things will start spiraling out of control very soon. You need to get your houses in order, folks. You should be preparing yourselves every day, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks.